Good morning, everyone.
Thank you. Let me know once you guys can see my screen.
Yeah, we can speak.
Okay, so 01. So PE01 is the transaction to check or display or change your schemas or sub schemas. Okay. Now, what is schema? Any combination of functions, operations, and personal calculation rules is called as schema. What is subschema? A schema within schema is called subschema. Okay. Now, anything you process in the SAP system, whether it's time or payroll, you need to have a certain schema in place to perform some calculations at the back end. That's how you will be able to see the results in the foreground. Okay. So the standard schema for US payroll is U000. Okay. Now, whenever we want to create or whenever we want to make any changes in the schema or even the client, no one will be using the standard schema. Even if they are using a, let's say they don't want to make any changes to the standard schema, still they will have to do this. They will create a copy of this schema and then use that schema in their respective payrolls. Okay. So here I'll just show you how to copy schema from the original schema. So this is your original schema and this is your copy schema. So let's just ZZ00. So that is how you need to do. And whenever you are creating any or making any changes or copy of the schema, sub schema, you always remember to create a new request. Okay. Payroll schema changes, and this applies to all the countries. Okay, irrespective. So I'm just saving this
Okay, any
now.
reason?
Yes, so that you don't disturb the original schema, because client, I mean, the original schema is already working fine for them. Now, by original means, let's say if you're going in a support project, so they will already be using some schema, right? Let's say they are using some ZZ11 something. Okay. Then you they requested for some changes, and then you want to make any changes to some of the PCR uh, in any of the sub schemas. So first of all, you will copy the PCR, and then you will copy the sub schema where you want to place that. Okay. And this comes with the practice, like you have to copy each and everything, and you have to remember also, you have to take the screenshot, so that if your things or if your testing is not working as expected, you should be knowing how to revert the changes. So for that purpose, you always like recommended to take the screenshot of all the changes that you are doing before and after, like I showed you in my screen, right? So just remember this step. Now, how to execute or how to check the PCRs within the sub schemas or schemas. It's the transaction is PE02. Here you can check all the rules. So as and when I will keep going to this schema, I'll just show you how to. So for now, I'll just explain you the overall payroll schema, and as and when we will see the PCRs within the schema level, I'll let you know what is what. Okay. Now, how to read a schema. So this is the schema, and these are the columns, fields, whatever you want to say, columns, rows. So line 1, it is just the sequencing, which is always starts from 10, 20, 30, 40, like that. This is a function column. Now whatever the function that client is using or want to use, they will always put all the functions inside this first column. Okay. Now what does this copy function means? Whenever client wants to put schema within schema, they have to use a copy function. Okay. So this is like common things I'm telling you, and the detailed one, the other functions and all, there is a separate transaction code which you can just go through and check the functions and operations over there. So copy UIN0, which means wherever you see a copy, it's a sub schema. If you double click this, you will see a set of some more functions and operations. Okay. So this is your function, and second one, whether it's your operation or a PCR, depending on what function they are using, they will be using the operations or different PCRs and all, which is a combination of operations and functions, they can put under this. And if they want to like put something else, let's say in this case, check ABR. So this ABR is nothing but it is just checking the control record. So that they will put inside this parameter 2. Okay, they will not put in this because this is mostly for like um, the execution steps. Okay, so you just you really don't have to see all of this, like where to put what, because when you will make the changes, you will already be knowing, or you will need to analyze that where do I need to insert the your own PCR. Okay, so let's say if I want to insert any row after this, okay, anything after this, so what you will do, you will just put your cursor at the last digit, which is 0, delete 0. Wait a second. Delete 0 and put I. Okay, it will insert a line below, just below this, just a blank row. Okay, and if you want to delete this, just go at the end, delete this 0, put a D, it will delete the line. Okay, and sequence will automatically change by itself. You really don't have to change anything in the sequence. It will automatically pick up the next sequence. Okay, so that is how we just go into the schemas and sub schemas. So you can just keep on going. Okay, so wherever you're seeing copy, and then this particular D box, so this is actually used for enabling or disabling the PCRs or the schemas. Okay, wherever you're seeing this column D, whether inside this sub schema also, if you're seeing this and you want to, let's say, disable this, then you just need to put a star over here, shift 8 on your keyboards, and then enter. It will disable this field. Okay, so that is how you need to do even in the real-time system. If you are looking something that, okay, I need to put my own PCR and want to disable the old PCR because I've made the changes in this PCR, and also Remember, you will never ever delete the line in the real time system. What you will do, you will simply disable that line if you don't want it. Okay, it's not like that, okay, now my PCR is working fine, let me just delete what was existing. No, because it's not like recommended, and you are not the one who will decide this. Your job is just to make the fix. And how you do it? Just insert another line, disable the existing PCR, and enable your PCR. That's it. And test it whether it is working fine or not. And whatever you have written in that PCR, take the screenshot and just put it in the document, and also the test and everything, and send it to the client or whosoever is responsible authority to approve the changes and move the changes. So you just have to do that this way. Never ever delete anything in the schema level in the real time system. And if in case this happens, for example, and you are not able to recall that, okay, what did I delete? But still you know that, okay, I was under this particular sub schema, let's say UBD0. And what you will do, you will also have the access to the quality or the production system. So what you will go do, you'll go to these systems, quality system, let's say, you will go to this particular sub schema and see the line numbers, whether my line numbers are matching or not, like 10 to 160. If it is 10 to 150, which means you have deleted some row, you have to insert that row again in the development system as well, because you cannot mess this up. If you mess this up, it can become an escalation for you, because this test system may be like used by multiple people within the team, or maybe sometimes by the user as well. So always remember that if this things happens, you can just go and make the changes on your own, but you can just compare two systems and revert the changes accordingly. So this is that, and I don't want to save anything. Next thing, so this particular US schema, I mean, which is a standard schema, it's mostly like a copy. I mean, is made up of these sub schemas. Under each of these sub schemas, there is a separate processing going on. Okay, so whenever this is the case, that's when the clients will ask you that, hey, put this particular piece of whole processing into some sub schema, so that we really don't have to worry about that, what will happen if this processing will get disturbed, because we know that if I will go inside this particular sub schema, things will be fixed. They don't have to do any changes outside of this schema. You can put the condition, you can remove the condition, whatever you want to do, you can do everything within a sub schema level. And if there are any checks that, okay, let's say to enter this schema also, even to enter this schema, you need to put some condition. If it is so and so, so in that case you will put if condition and else condition. If so, here you can see, and whenever you are doing this thing, then you have to always put a block beginning, block ending. Okay, block, so you can see, you can also create the block. So block BEG means it's a particular block which is getting started and it is ending over here. Okay, and here this is a else loop. If else loop is getting started, if condition is this, then go to this particular sub schema, else go to these schemas. Okay, and if there are any iterations and all that, multiple things needs to go on, then this is the function lpbeg. So this is like a common in all the countries you will see, and this is how all the schemas you need to read. So I'll just now in the system here in my results of the employees payroll, I will show you how and where we need to go and check the things. So very first thing is your initialization of payroll. Now here in the schema level, you will see initialization of payroll. It is happening in this particular sub schema. So you have to check the text. You can't really see the actual schema, but the text will be displayed in the payroll results. Okay. So this is my initialization of payroll. And guys, let me tell you, this will be little boring session, but this is very important for your real-time scenarios, because if you don't understand how to read a log or how to read a schema, it's of no use of this whole SAP knowledge, to be honest. Because whatever you have configured so far, everything is getting processed in this schema and you need to understand how to read it. So just keep your eyes and ear open. So UIN0, initialization of payroll. So you can see this is the block beginning and this is the step which is displaying over here, initialization of payroll. So in this particular step, what it is checking, it's just a normal check that program type payroll. Basically it is checking for your payroll area and all. And here in this, so this is all just the normal database updates, which is a system backend things which it is reading all the time, info types, processed info types, everything it is reading in order to initiate the payroll, what all is required, just the basic check. Now this particular line is very important for us, which is check ABR. It is checking your control record PA03. If your control record, let's say if you are and this is all I'm telling you from the live payroll run. Okay, if you are running a simulation, it will skip this step automatically because it's just a test run. So they don't have to go and check the PA03. Okay, so it is just checking whether your control record is in release for status or not. So release for payroll status or not, and this is applicable in the case of live payroll run. So if someone is asking, okay, if I want to run the live payroll, what should be my status, your answer should be released for payroll. If I want to make any corrections or want to run a simulation, so it is not the case that okay, if my this release for payroll is selected, then I cannot run simulation. No, it is not the case. You can still run the simulation. There is a check button, test run, right? Test payroll run in the payroll driver. If you have selected that, it will still be running the simulation only, not the live. The moment you will remove that checkbox, then only it is checking for this release for payroll button status, okay, in the control record. So that is what it is checking over here, if my control record is in release for payroll mode or not. Next thing is OPT BSI. Now this is for US payroll, it is very important point that like in the initial classes I already mentioned that the taxes are being calculated by BSI tax factory in US. So this is the place where it is checking that connection. That is the place. So if the connection is not there or something is missing, it will tell you. I mean, in the test system, of course, it is not really that possible. But in the live system, you will see if the connection is missing in the real-time system, you will see some errors coming up. Okay, that the RFC connections are not there. So we call them as RFC connections. Okay, it's your basically connection between the SAP and third party system, which is usually done by basis team. Okay, and here it is also like checking your transaction. So RFC connection meaning it is actually checking your transaction code, which is slash SM59. So here these are all your RFC connections it is checking for. Okay, configuration. So here let me show you. It should be here somewhere. So see here BSI US tax, BSI US update, BSI US tax. So here it is checking and it will tell you that what is the latest version of BSI tax factory the client is using. So of course this is a very old system, and this is how you can just simply see the details, and if you like double click on this it will take you some more details of this. I mean, being a functional consultant, you really don't need to go into this transaction as such, but just for your knowledge, if you want to see something. So that is how the program and the host IDs of that client system, of that BSI system, will be saved under this. That is how through this IP address, it is connected with that system. Okay, and since I think here it is maintained already something something, that is why it is not throwing us any error even in the live run. But of course it's not connected, we know all that. It's just a test system. So yeah, you can just check the BSI connections in this. Okay, and so this is your very first schema, sub schema under U000. First sub schema is UIN0, which is your initialization of payroll. It will check for the control record whether it's in release or for payroll mode or not, and it will check for the RFC connections between SAP and the BSI tax factory system, if it is there or not, and which means it is checking that in the transaction SM59, and this connection check and everything is done by the basis team. Okay, now next.
Okay, so these
uh,
functions PGM and PGM, I guess it is program, is it?
yes, program type payroll.
Program, program and UPD maybe update,
Yeah, yeah,
is it?
yes.
OPT maybe
So
operation.
let
Yeah.
me tell you, I'll go to PE04. This is where you can check all the functions and operations which are there in the payroll schemas. Okay, so let's
Okay.
say function PGM. So identifying a schema by program type. Okay, and UP, what was the next one? UPT. So you will do this performing database updates. Database updates meaning whatever the mandatory database details are required, it will just check that. Like what is the database that the system is using to hold all the information, that is what it is checking. So if you want to see more details, you can just go on display, check the info type, whatever, like wherever it is all using. So to be honest, it's not really for us to check the things, but this is mainly for the ABAPer. Actually, ABAPer usually come and check the existing functions. So let's say when it comes handy, let's say we want we have got the requirement from the client, and we have looked from all the perspective at it, and we come up with that okay, this is not possible with the PCR. Like as a functional we cannot write a PCR to achieve these results. Hence we need to ask the ABAPer to write a function, to write a payroll function specifically performing this activity in the system level. Now and this will decide on you as a functional that where you want to insert that function. Okay, so that is something you will learn with the experience only, that where you insert all these functions and all. So I mean, of course, it's the function in the schema level. If you see, this is the function, that is where you generally insert all your functions. Okay, first column, sorry. So, but where exactly you have to insert, that will depend on your analysis and the results that you want to achieve. Okay. So this is where you can check your functions and operations, transaction PE04, and this is the explanation to the schema UIN0. Now the next sub-schema is UBD0, which is basic data processing. And here also I will show you in the log, payroll log, basic data processing. Okay. So now just see how it is all matching. And it will tell you what all it is reading and what all it is doing. So, and it's not like that, okay, you're seeing 160 till the line of 10 to 160, so you will see the same number of lines here. No, it is not the case. Okay, it will only show you which is all important and which should be there in the log. Okay, it is not like that, okay, why block beginning and all, it's not coming up because this is block beginning itself. Okay, so e name, retrieve employee name, so here it is retrieving that. So you will be able to see test employee first name last name, and then info type 2, surname, title and all you will see. So these are all the internal tables which you are seeing here. Excuse me. And just specify employee name and all, it is just the basics. And so just don't look at all the details, just simply understand by the explanation that it is simply retrieving the name. It's a way for the SAP system to pull the name from these info types. Okay, and this is the function ename, which is working to pull the name. Now the very important concept, it's your WPBP table. I don't know who asked me this question, that they were asking about WPBP split. Who was the one?
It's not me.
You were not, you only asked me, right?
नहीं मैं ये क्या
तो
है भी
मेरा
पता
कौन,
नहीं.
अच्छा मेरे को फिर कोई पूछा, अच्छा आई डोंट रिमेम्बर हु आस्क्ड मी.
मे बी
ओके,
नागेश पूछे शायद आपको.
शायद, yes, yes, fine. So, yeah, this is the WPBP table, and this is the sub schema where this WPBP table is getting generated for the first time. Now, what is WPBP table? Any details which are like important and are not part of the info type 2 and all will get processed under this WPBP table, okay, in the basic data. So here, this is the place, if you can see this, it is reading your org assignment, which is your info type 1 and your basic pay. Okay, so see, these are the info types which are or which will be part of your WPBP table. So this can be your very important question for the interview, that what are the info types which are part of WPBP table. So these are the info types 0, 1, 7, 8, 27. Now the following question can be that why these are a part of WPBP table. Why not info type 6? Why not info type 2? Or why not info type 9? Why? Can anyone tell me? Okay.
because they are not related to Aug assignment or basic pay.
Wow. Seriously. Okay. So the reason is why only these info types are a part of WPBP table is because only these info types can be responsible to create the split in the payroll. Now, what does mean by split? Let's say for 1st to 10th, you were getting paid at the rate of hourly rate of, or maybe the salary, monthly salary of 5,000. Okay, your 1st to 10th, your salary was 5,000 per month. Okay, now on from 11th, there was a change in your basic salary and it became 6,000, from 5,000 to 6,000. Now since 5 to 1st to 10th it was 5,000, so do you think that you will get, okay, 5 plus 6,000 and 11,000 you will get paid? No, right? So how the system will do this calculation, on what basis? So these are the info types where you will save these informations. For example, if there is a change in your basic pay, you will update the reason in info type 0, that okay, now there is a change in basic pay, so you will perform that action basically on the employee, change in basic pay, and based on that, that split will be created. Okay, that okay, 1st to 10th he was on so and so, and then after that it will read on all the other info types, and then when it will reach to the info type 8, at that time it will see, okay, for 1st to 10th employee was on 5,000 salary, and from 11th to 31st he was on 6,000 salary. So what does the system will do? It will create the splits for these two different salaries within the same pay period. So 5,000 will be, let's say, divided by 30, 31, and you will get the per day salary. That per day salary will be multiplied by number of days, which is 10 days. You will get the 10 days ka salary based on the 5,000. Now the next day's salary you will get based on 6,000. Then 6,000 will be divided by 30. You will get per day ka salary, and multiply that salary, per day salary, by number of days, let's say 20, 21 days. So you need to combine both the amounts, then you will get your basic salary. Now this basic salary is actually the result of two splits, and you will clearly see those splits in the payroll results as well. Split 1, it will be numbered as 0102. So I will show you this example as well once I will explain you the whole thing, whole schema. Then I will show you how to create the splits and all in the system. And even if the in the real-time system you will see something like that, you will understand that okay, why these splits are there. There might be something happened in any of these info types. That's the reason there is a split. So it's not like that, okay, only basic pay is getting changed, that is why I'm seeing a split. No, sometimes there is some change in the let's say info type 1, personal area sub area is getting changed, or maybe payroll area is getting changed, something is getting changed, then also it will create the split. At that time it is only the same amount in both the split. So whatever system is set to, it will pick up one of those splits to calculate the final results. Okay, so you'll understand all of that concept once you start working on the schema level. So this is, and all the schemas or PCRs, basically PCRs, they all are divided in these three sections: input, processing, output. Input, processing, output. Wherever you see any PCR, you will see this kind of a processing happening. Okay. So, and this, wherever you see this read and all, which means it is nothing to process as such. That is why there is no processing option there. No processing plus sign is there. Okay, it's just the input and just the output. So input is info type 2 and output is name, and this is something SSN and all, some personal details. So date of birth, SSN, gender key and all you will see. So that is how you need to understand that, okay, this is my input, and wherever you are seeing this sign, this small file sign icon is there, which means this table has entries. If it is not there, which means it is blank. See, no entries in the table. But if I will click this, there are table entries. Okay. So just understand, if in the real time, that if someone is asking you to open, okay, open this table, then you need to double click this. Then this table will open. Okay. And let's say if you want to look all the tables at the same time, so what you will do, just double click this WPBP name. You will see all the tables all together, whatever are there in that particular PCR. Okay, it is showing all these things. So now this is my input 1017827, and this is my output. So this is the WPPP table basically, and action reason, employment status. This is some, I think, basic pay or something. Some code is there. I don't remember what is this. And this is company code, personal area, personal sub area. Okay, so this is a combination of like info type 0 and 1. That is how you will generally see. And this is the input table. IT means it's input table. So now this input table is getting generated, and these are the basic pay details which is coming from info type 8, what we have given. Okay, so 10,000 to 2,500 and 2,000, these are the salaries and all we have given to our employee. So this is all getting read inside this basic data processing sub schema inside the WPBP table. Okay, next thing is, it is just reading the personal data, address, and then the text data. So here it is reading info type 207. Okay, simply reading info type 207, and inside this 207 only, it is also reading 210. That is the reason when I was trying to run the payroll, initially you might have observed that the system was throwing some error regarding the taxes and all. So that is the place where it was checking. So this is the place actually where it was checking, okay, whether these info types are maintained in the for the employee or not. So that's what I've updated, and this is the table which got generated. So this is the tax R table, just the tax details. You really don't have to look like what all things are there. It's just understand that it is reading the info types 207 and 210. Now what is this GON is doing? So this is actually the operation, or a function which is making sure that my info type 207 and 210 is updated or not. So this is the place actually where it is checking for info type 210, because 2P207 is already there, and this is the operation or function which is making sure that 210 also should be updated. Okay, now next thing is your info type 14. Now it is checking for the split in the info type 14. Now since concept of split will remain the same, whether there were like two entries within the same pay period or not, same way half month this or half month that. So it is checking that, and the PCR working for that is UW14. So here I will show you. Now this is my function. and this is my PCR. Okay, so under this function it is checking for this PCR. Now how to go to a PCR? I'll copy this and let's go to PCR U114. So it is simply checking. So these are some operations within the PCR which is checking whether there is a split in the WPBP table or not. Okay, so that is it. And if there are any sort of time indicators or period time indicators, just eliminate those time indicators. It's all standard, guys. Okay, you don't have to make any changes to the standard PCR. If you want to make any changes, you just have to copy this PCR and then make the changes and come here, insert a new line, insert your PCR over here, comment this particular PCR, the old PCR, and then do your testing. Okay, same process follows everywhere, every rule, every sub schema. So this is your this, and this print function, it is simply printing all the tables which has been generated in the above steps. This is not like mandatory, but yeah, if like someone wants to see the details and all, they can just directly come here and check everything. So it is just printing NP means printing new page. Okay, and it is all some just the tables only, nothing else. WPBP, and then the texts are, and this is personal data. That's it. So this is your basic data processing subschema, UBD 0. So if someone is asking you this question, flow of schema, okay, flow of US payroll schema, can you tell me how you read a log or how you read a schema? Do you know the flow of schema? So that what you need to do is you need to start explaining from UIN0, UBD0, and so on till the time interviewer is not asking you to stop. You have to like memorize the explanation of each sub schema, what it is doing. Even if you will memorize, okay, P0014 PCR U114, it is checking for the WPBP split in the info type 14. If you will remember like this, there is nothing, can stop you to clear that interview, because this is like a detailed explanation of the payroll schema which I'm telling you. So just memorize as much as you can, and you have to memorize it. There is no escape. And the best way to memorize it, just read your own payroll log so that you will actually understand what is happening in which particular piece or particular schema level. Okay, so you must be thinking that, okay, why this is like looking so small and this particular schema is looking like so huge, right? It's like these many lines while the actual payroll log is looking like this. So inside every these plus plus, there are some other schemas and other processings are going on. So I'll just keep on telling you that. Okay. So next is your get previous result for period so and so. Okay. Now this is the another sub schema, which is copy UPRO or UPR0. So this is the schema or sub schema which is actually checking if there is a retro happening in your system. Okay, by retro it means it is checking that did you make or did the payroll admin made any changes to the prior payroll data for the employee. So I will quickly show you how it will look like. So here you can see, so once when I'm running a payroll, you can see that it is only running payroll for only one period. Number of period is 1. And here also it is just one period, period 2, it is showing that it is running payroll for. Now let me just put some retro entries and then you will see the difference. I'll put something in info type 15 and let me, did we create any other wage type apart from this? Okay, fair enough. I will give him additional bonus. Let's just give $500 in the January month. Okay, let's say 20th/01/2023, because I did not run the live payroll for February yet, but January live payroll I have already completed. So it is showing that the control record is logged. Let me just unlock it. Release for correction. Let me come out of it. Wait a second.
So the error which we got, it is because we are running the payroll, right?
Which one?
अभी error आया था ना, we logged
No, it
payroll.
was because the control record was logged. It was set to release for payroll.
अच्छा, okay.
Meaning live payroll, if the
Payroll is
live payroll was set. So if the live payroll is running already, you can't make the changes in the master data.
okay.
Okay, now record is created. Let me just execute the simulation. So now you can see number of periods changed to 2, which means this current payroll went to the previous payroll to just check that whether there was any retro entry. Now, what is that schema which was doing this for us? It is this schema, UPR0. Okay, it was checking whether there were any entries in the retro pay period. Okay, so here I'll show you. So it just checked whether it was retro or not, and then here, see the difference. There is no plus sign, but here there was a retro, right, in the first pay period. So that is why it just came like this. Loop begin, run one, import, processing. So something just triggered, okay? And let's see if it will show us what was entered. Yeah. So basically, since we have made the entries, so the final results you can see only in the RT table or input table, whatever is coming next. Okay, but here you can see the difference why we got the two payrolls, because we have made the changes in the prior pay period. That is why we are getting this difference. Okay, now let me just pick up this only. Okay, so it is just the basic check which the system is doing. So UPR0, just reading the previous result of current period. That is what it does. We were in the February month and it was reading the January month payroll, and it found the change. So it went back and updated that payroll result. So this is done, and Next is your import previous results. So these two are like very common, um, or I would say similar. So XLR0, this is another subschema. And what this particular subschema is doing, it is importing the last payroll results to the current payroll period. So now the purpose of this, let's say system is trying to do some comparison between the last payroll and the current payroll, and it will just simply check if there is anything which needs to be like adjusted from the previous period to the current period. So for that purpose, it will just bring the results from the last period to the current period. Okay, and this is the PCR which is working at the backend, and it is checking the ORT. Matlab, it's your process old result table. Okay, PORT means process old result table, and this is your PCR X0006, and P06 is your processing class 6. Okay, so if I will go to this rule X006, and maybe you can display or change. So here, now I will tell you how to read a PCR. So this star you can see, it's the actually grouping. You remember that we have given the employee subgroup grouping and personal area subgroup grouping for CAP, right? And there was this table, I'll show you. So this is the table. Yeah. So here, if I will show you, see, calculation rule, ESG, PSG, capping grouping, and this is your primary wage type grouping, and what else is there? Yeah, work schedule and all. So basically, this is where it is checking that for which employee group and all we have to run this particular PCR. Like run in the sense that how to put it in the word. So if it would have been for our respective groupings, let's say 3, then it will be like specific to 3 and then do so and so processing. If it is star, which means it is running for all the groupings, irrespective whether it is your salaried or your hourly, doesn't matter, because it is set to star, it is running for all the groupings. Okay, so if it would have been 3, then it will specific to only salaried employee, or if it would have been for 2, specific to the hourly employee. So that way we need to read this. Okay, now next is this 4 asterisk signs, 4 stars, meaning it is actually reading your wage type. Okay, if because processing class, right, processing class is assigned to what? Only wage type, right? So for any wage type, if there is any wage type, it is checking the processing class 6 of that wage type. Now here I will show you in the live result. Input. So see, these many wage types are there from the last payroll period execution. Now inside the processing, let me see if we can. So here for this particular wage type 2043, it is checking for the processing class 6. Now if you double click this line over here, this blue highlighted line, it will tell you that X006, what is all working. It will all be highlighted in the yellow. If it is not highlighted, which means it is not processing. Only processed part is highlighted one. Now, if we will go and check the table for the specifications, processing class 6, 2034, 2034, processing class 6, it is set to 1. What does this 1 mean? Wage type will be taken from previous payroll. Okay, that is how the system knows that I need to pull this particular wage type from the previous payroll to the current payroll. Okay, if this is set to 0, which means it will not be coming forward in the current period from the past period or the any prior period. Okay, so this is the rule, and in the log level, in your payroll log, you can just double click and you will see what is all executed or what is all processed by going inside the processing node. Okay, not input, not output. In the processing node, if you double click any of the wage type and just go here, it will show you what specification of processing class is set for that wage type. And this star star means any wage type. Okay, it is not defining that which wage type, because we already know that which wage type we have opened, right? 2010. If you're double clicking this, so this rule is actually working for all the wage types. It is not specific to any wage type. Okay, but you can do this way as well. If let's say client is asking you that, okay, this rule should only work for so and so wage types, they will give you the list of all the wage types. What you have to do, you will simply replace this star 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 by the wage type number which client has given you. Okay, let's say client has given you that it should only read 2010 and processing class 6 of that wage type. So you'll simply change it to 2010. Processing class 6 will remain the same, and if it is 0, do this. If it is 1, do this. If it is 0, do nothing. Okay, because there is no plus sign against the 0, which means do nothing. If it is anything, then do this. If it is this, then do this. So these are all the operations which are working. So you can just go to PE04, click on the payroll and the operations, not the functions, operations, and you will just put all this. It will tell you the explanation that what is this particular operation is doing. Otherwise, you can understand from the name itself, LRT. It is just pulling the wage type or adding the wage type to the last result table. Okay. So this is your sub schema XLR0 to import the last payroll results using the PCR X06 and processing class 6. If the specification is set to 1, which means it has to pull the value from previous payroll period to the current payroll period. Okay, so that is the explanation that you will give even in the interview as well. So I've already told you what is processing class, what is accumulation class, what is evaluation class. So you can definitely figure out what is I'm telling, right? So I
Yeah,
will,
so Abhi,
yeah,
you said na कि if at all client asks कि wage types की जाके check करो बोल के, so we can go to that particular wage type processing class and
yeah,
ये 6 कर दिया तो हो जाता ना, so for every wage type.
कर नहीं दिए, नो 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 नो
हाँ
नो डियर, ऐसा नहीं करता है भाई.
हाँ
It's like, let's say client is asking you that, this is the list of wage type, and
हम्म
you need to make sure that all these wage types should be pulling the value from the last payroll result.
हम्म
Okay, so what you will do first, you will come to this table and you will check all the wage types whether they are set to 1 or not.
हम्म
and what all are not set, you will change the specification only for those wage types.
अच्छा ओके
Rest you will not touch.
ओके
Okay.
ठीक है
So what they will give you the list actually of all the wage types. So in the Excel sheet, there is a list of wage type, like in one column. Then there is a list that, okay, this is the current specification and this is the expected specification. Okay. So you will
ओके
just match that, okay, current is this, change it to this. Current is this, change it to this.
ओके
Okay. That is how you will get the requirement.
ओके
Okay, so I will stop the class today because I think it's already too much to handle, to process. So the task for you guys is, I'm sure that at least you were able to run one payroll. So just go into your respective logs and check and match this payroll schema with your payroll log and try to understand that what is going on, what is the processing, and if you have any doubts we can discuss in next class.
वो पेरोल रन नहीं हो रहा ना मेरा
Did you check? Did you do that I asked you, that just okay, let me
कमेंट
just do
वाला
this. Wait.